Well, thank you very much. For this important meeting with business leaders, I'm told from 3 different continents that are present here. Thank you for your participation, and thank you also for your interest in gathering all the new information on Bolivia. You all know that there's been a lot of political turmoil practically throughout all of Bolivia's history. Since the Republic's founding, the Republic was never truly consolidated, except during some passages in the time of Andrés de Santa Cruz. There were 9 years, 8 months, and a few days. After 6 months under Andrés Santa Cruz's government, Bolivia was the most prosperous. The economy, the Bolivian currency, called the shots. It was the most important in the region. Unfortunately, oligarchical groups in Chile and across the region conducted a coup d'etat, took him out, and then there was coup after coup after coup, military ones. 180 years had to go by for the true Bolivian people take on the responsibility of changing Bolivia. 180 years. For 180 years, Bolivia was the country, the last place country, the last country in Latin America. However, I want to say with full honesty and really based on truth, and my greetings to the Bolivian businessmen present here, they know very well, that being liberated from this dominion has been politically important for Bolivians. Liberating ourselves from the neoliberal grasp has been important. Those who controlled Bolivia before was the U.S. Embassy in Bolivia. Financially, the International Monetary Fund. They are the ones who decided economic policy, political coups. And I remember a colleague, an old colleague going way back, who has been the victim of military dictatorships, told me, Presidente, be wary of U.S. embassies. I asked him why. He said, there only wasn't a coup d'etat in the United States because there's no U.S. embassy in the United States. Looking over the history of Latin America, where has there not been a coup d'etat headed by the United States Embassy? In Bolivia, there was a conspiracy going on too. A conspiracy against our democratic cultural revolution. I want to say in parentheses that I learned that revolution isn't conducted just by weapons and bullets. Revolutions are guaranteed and happen with votes, in conscience, and with democracy. That's our experience in Bolivia. It's a deep, profound, and democratic revision based on the social sectors. So, I want to tell you, after having been relieved from that grasp, we're better than ever economically, socially. But I also want to share some important results with you. Over a short time, extreme poverty and poverty had been significantly reduced. How much poverty there was in 2005? 38% rate of poverty. We estimate that this year we're going to reach 15% of poverty. Why social conflict? Because there's injustice going on. Private businesses don't want to pay double social services. How are they not going to pay retirement? Now they're going to pay double retirement fees because there's a workforce and we have to recognize the workers' work. Along with the companies, there are workers, and it's thanks to the workers who are making the national economy grow. So I want to say that this reduction in poverty allows us to avoid such social conflicts. There will always be social conflicts because social conflicts were always about even destituting the president because the president didn't tend to the needs of the people. I would listen to in some regions of Bolivia, a week or 2 week paralyzing strikes. Some ministers, some financial authorities would go to relieve that strike. And what would they say? Bolivia doesn't have the requirements to relieve these conditions. I was remembering with Lucho Arce, our Minister of the Economy. He's over there. Was it 2013, 2014, when we sent you here in search of bonds? 2012. We needed investments, and we needed $500 million. Emergency, immediate bonds for some works. And we only sought $500 million in bonds from Bolivia. And then when we're told that we were offered 4.5, almost $5 billion. Is that right? No, I didn't send for it. $5 billion, but $500 million. What I mean to say is there's trust, there's economic growth. There's a lot of hope. There's always some problems. I also want to remind you, I don't know if the banking sector, the private bankers here, raise your hand if you're a banker, or my colleague here, if you remember. You all remember, right? It's true. In the first years of our term, what did they do? A group of business leaders, I'm sure the opposition, withdrew the money from the bank and would say, I chased away the banking sector. And the opposition would be repeating it every hour. Oh, Evo, the president, chased the banks off. He's going to stump his plan for development by using the country's funds. I didn't know what this was, this supposed running off the banks. A hearing. They used to ask me for hearings. Now I ask them for hearings and they won't listen. I would tell them, you can do strikes, you can stir up conflict, but what's going to happen? You are the ones who lose financially. It's the companies that will lose financially, the business leaders. But they would use these financial excuses to stir up a fright, to scare people, saying that the banking sector is being chased off. But clear it up. Let's see. How much was withdrawn? Yes, of course, there have to be withdrawals and deposits. That's normal. But there was no chasing away the banks. But there are some private businesses who, unfortunately, what do you want to do? They wanted to make the government look as if we were running our own profitable business. But we grew beyond that. Some opposers were saying inflation is going to be Evo's legacy. That's going to be his legacy afterward. What inflation? We've confronted that. I think the most inflation we've reached for a year is 12, 13, 14%. It has happened. Now I'm not sure where we are, above 5% inflation. Our growth is almost marginally 5% as well. So I want to tell you that we've improved all of those conflicts that came about in those early years. 2008, there was thorough political conflict. It was only with our will and with the people's help that we've overcome it. That opposition, the neoliberal model that has caused so much harm in Bolivia, they wanted to form a consensus to destitute me. In 2008, the people answered back, supporting me 68%. That was the reaction of the Bolivian people. They tried a coup d'etat. They confused independence with control and dictatorship. We've overcome it. But what do I say? By our constitution, it's a pluralistic economy. Private property is guaranteed. Communal property, but also state property. And those who want to do business to make money. But don't confuse business with politics. Politics now isn't business. Politics isn't about benefiting. Politics is the effort and sacrifice and the will of the people. That's what we've been doing in Bolivia. That's made us change the country's financial situation. Of course, like in any other country, there are small conflicts, problems. Some revendications are manipulated politically. I understand that, but you can realize what's going on in Bolivia. And what's surprising, I'd say, what surprises the world is that some financial experts from international organizations, what do they say? They say, what's the miracle that happened in Bolivia? I'd say the miracle, maybe I can summarize it in three things. First of all, social movements, because the people are organized around social movements. Second, economic organization. And third, I really want to tell you, one of the models is that a liberal model where there isn't external domination. In Bolivia, I want to tell you, the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank aren't those who control the country, but they're organized in a political and democratic movement. Those are the social movements whereby we decide our fate. Those movements, since the Republic's founding, confinement or oppression, so many things. And it really surprises me too, the results we've had. And again, I want to tell you that it's a greater commitment with our people, together with my vice presidents, ministers, and ex-ministers, but altogether, our social movements, where it's been so important to rule by listening to the people. Businesses have been part of that social movement. Some university figures too. We get together, we debate. And now, among you, you'll ask yourself the legal aspects. Legal movement. Sometimes you ask about legal issues, but you don't talk about human life, the safety of human life. We have to talk about not just legal safety to make more money, but people's human safety as well. I want to tell you that we've approved 3 laws for investment: the laws on public investment, the law to incentivize investment, and the law on arbitration and conciliation, in agreement with you, our business leaders. You asked me to understand your priorities as an international businessman, right? There could be a proposal, 2 proposals, the sectors, whatever sectors we have to negotiate with, we'll reach an agreement. There are also deep differences. We have them, but we meet and then we reach an approval. Right? And there shouldn't be any fear in terms of legal security. And lastly, well, my Minister of the Economy tells me, you have to come and speak. Look, the minister really reined in his president. What I mean to say is, what we're investing in the most, so many investments, the companies really lend services. They're not even partners. I'd like them to be partners, but not bosses. They're no longer bosses or owners of national resources. The companies are. In 2005, in our campaign, I said, yes, we do need private investment, but we need partners, not bosses or overseers. And we've complied with that. In hydrocarbons, Bolivia has been completely taken apart with those giant fields, the French, the Spanish, the Brazilians, the North Americans. A North American company was conspiring politically. Out of here. I want to tell you clearly, I'm not here to scare anyone, but private companies who want to make money, come and invest, you're welcome. Private companies who come and conspire and become involved politically, you're out. That's how we've learned, and that's how we've done well. That company, I don't know its name in English, but it was the owner of Trans Networks, of the ducts. And I was surprised. We've spoken to the company. We've talked to companies. What's it called? Ashmore? I'm not sure what it is. What were they asking? Because we needed an urgent need for a Carrasco to Cochabamba gas pipeline. It was in their care. And they said to me, Mr. President, can you guarantee me $100 million for the CSS, the Carrasco-Cochabamba gas pipeline? And I said, why do I have to guarantee $100 million to an international company? In our world, as indigenous, as country folk, we understand they have money they want to invest. I thought, credit? What's that? And in fact, that company was conspiring against us. We nationalized, we threw them out. I'm not ashamed to say it. And now the pipeline is in operation. What had they invested, 50 or 60 million? 40 million. $40 million. What $100 million? We've finished it. No credit, with our own money. Imagine how some businesses steal from us. They sack us. That's what I call capitalism. That's what I call imperialism. Starting with the president. With $40 million of our own money, we've done it ourselves. Of course, subcontracting with smaller companies. So, I could talk on about some subjects, but I really wanted to say that Bolivia is better off than before financially, better off in the region, and we're speeding up with our investments, and our private investors know some thermoelectrical installation facilities, hydroelectric. We're conducting international bidding, and our business leaders, regrettably, can't take charge. Maybe other companies, but our Bolivian companies are too small. There's the will to build. That's what has us come here, to see how they can lend services, but they can also be partners. That's our big desire.
Es nuestro deseo que las empresas and the companies this is our desire, and we want the companies which fulfill their contracts. Sometimes companies start corruption by selling their contracts, and then the prosecutor come up with a report saying that there's a lack of money, of time. We don't want that. We want, my order to minister is that a company who start a work, the company have to finish on their time. If it is, if he wanted to do it, they have to do it on time, and sometimes some works have to be granted with key on hand to gain time, and sometimes it's faster this way. Yesterday I was with our governor in the Narija department, and we were building a bridge in Peña Rajada in between Potosí and Yarija, Villazón and Muchará. I don't know if there's we have these we're there's a race, a bicycle race around Bolivia. I don't know if Italians and Spanish are famous to do this road on Chuquisaca to Rori. It's a great race, and we just need to guarantee the build the bridge, to build the bridge of the Puente Quejada and Departamento. We have a large project, but I would like to comment to you quickly to you. There's an energy topic. Two examples from two departments. Cochabamba, the internal demand is 120 megabytes. We have two hydroelectric plants. We have several thermoelectric facilities. We started with Aeolic. Electricity is generating soon 50 megabytes. And yesterday we approved a credit of $460 million to extend Entre Rios thermoelectric facility, powerhouse, which is 480 megabytes, is going to generate the internal demand in Cochabamba is 200 megabytes, 220 megabytes. So this is going to be to export. And also in this area, the Burgulo plant is 120 megabytes, Cadasco plant 100 megabytes, 60 in Valle Hermoso, two hydroelectric plants in Santa Isabel and Coral. This is on the department Potosí doesn't generate power, so it's 120 megabytes is the internal consumption, and we want to start to install solar energy. 60 megabytes in solar energy, just almost half from that department. In Santa Cruz department is going to be the same. We're going to have the powerhouse Huaracachi, which generates 120 megabytes, and now we are increasing to Guarnes to 400 megabytes. And we are under a study, the Rositas powerhouse. It can generate 200 megabytes. So I can talk and tell you my comments on this. We are going to be as energy power center. We're going to be exporters. We want to export 240 megabytes. So this major investment that we just started is going to guarantee the economical growth. And what did I learn as a president? That is the people doesn't lack food, and the economy, energy and water, they're okay. That's even better. So why do I say this? Because there is instability. We're growing, and the prosperity, economic prosperity, this is the great advantage in Bolivia this time. And what better to keep increasing investment, to partner with people who wants to offer supply service, and people who wants to do what we all want is just to be doing on time. And we have companies, European and Asiatic companies, and our responsibility is to confront the economical situation. Some opposition people criticize us, saying that it's too much debt. Before it was $3,000-4,000 million, and the debt was $5,000 million above the GDP. So we have debt. So we have 17% ratio between GDP and debt. So this is very good. So this accelerates investment. So when I came to the government, we import GDP. So now we are exporting GDP. When we came, there was no gas to. He was talking about we were importing gas. Now we are exporting gas. Now we are installing in faraway places gas. And why I say this, I don't know if our president is informed. JP, YPBP, the most important company in Bolivia now, is the biggest company supplying services in Peru and Paraguay with Petropar and Petroperu. And YPB is going to have more income, and but also the people from Peru and Paraguay is going to pay less than what they are paying now. So for the first time, it's the first time that our company is going to provide a service in the future. We're not going to import fertilizers. We are going to export fertilizers. Before we didn't have that. Now we are investing in this industry in urea, $140 million in Bulu Bulu, and we have some companies, the Spaniards and China's company, they're from China or Spain, the Bulugo train from Montero. What country? The Spanish ones. The Spanish empresarios, they will still wants to be lying to us, not fulfilling the contract. We guarantee the money. Imagine we stop the importation. Forget about lithium. The lithium, the first years, Koreans and French, even Japanese wanted to blackmail us. They want to help us to take our commodities. So we started with some experts from China, and that has come, and we have invested $20 million in the main facility, and now they want to be partners. And we are guaranteeing $160 million, almost $1,000 million in the lithium sector, just the first bank. With our money, with our reserve, is guaranteed. If you want to be partners, you're welcome. You know what is the importance of having lithium in the these new times. We're going to start advancing, but now I realize that with other partners or other investors, we can accelerate these investments in Bolivia. And before, Bolivia was surviving through mining, and we're outdated in some aspects, and we need to improve this. These days, my mining ministry is around here. We're going to be signing a credit to industrialize the iron industry. If we need for this $140 million that we're investing to update the iron mining in the country. So I just want to tell you, friends, that we in Bolivia is living right now the best of his history, thanks to this commitment from his authorities. The politics is not business, it's not benefit. The politics in Bolivia is just service and compromise and work with the people. Thank you so much. We will be taking to change Bolivia. Thank you so much.